Welcome to the Gdevelop 5 tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to see how we can implement multi-touch in Android games, and at the same time we are going to have different sprites for different fingers when we are touching the screen. So let me show you what I mean by that. I am now going to show you this multi-touch with different icons for different sprites for each finger. So here it is, and now I will touch with one finger. You can see a yellow colored sprite. When I will touch with another finger, you can see a blue colored sprite, and when I touch with a third finger, you can see a pink colored sprite. Similarly, I can touch with the fourth finger, but my finger is very far, so you can see you have different sprites for different fingers, right? So yeah, that's how it is, and that's what we will make in this video, right? So that's what we are going to be doing in this tutorial. So I have also uploaded a previous version of this tutorial in which we had a transparent sprite which was being created when we were touching with our finger. So that tutorial is also available. I will put the link in the description. So this tutorial is simply an extension to that one. So let me start. First of all, what changes I have done compared to the previous one is that first change is that I have added a global variable. Go to your project manager and go to game settings and click on global variable. You can see that I have a global variable index whose value is 0. So you have to make this variable in your file also, and rest of the things are same. And you can also see in this sprite touch position, I will double click it. So when I double clicked it, I can now edit the sprite. You can see I have 5 colors: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So these different colors are simply the different sprites which will be created when we will touch with our finger. So I am using only 5 different sprites. I mean sprite, you can see that the sprite is the same, but it simply has 5 different animations. So that's how I am implementing that, right? And different fingers will trigger different animations, and hence you will be able to see different colors below different fingers. You can actually uh, change the shape of this circle into something better, right? Like a pointer or a custom crosshair for to fit your purpose, right? But I am just explaining for uh, so that you can learn how to do that. So you can have more than 5 also. That's the second difference in my touch position sprite. And first difference was the presence of a global variable, right? So and now what is the difference in the events which is causing us to have different sprites for different fingers? I will go to my events now, and you can see everything is same as the previous video. I mean the video in which we have a transparent sprite, uh, except for these 4 lines. I have added these 4 lines, you can see in the first event, these 4 lines. So what are these? Let me read them out. Change the z order of touch position, set to 10. Change the number of the animation of touch position, set to global variable index. And change the global variable index, add 1. Change the global variable index, set to mod global variable index, comma 5. So what do these 4 statements do? Let me explain them to you one by one. So I hope you understand these 2 lines. Let me explain again. This line is simply creating a touch position sprite at position 0, 0, and the second line is simply changing the touch id variable of touch position sprite and setting it to last touch ID, which is actually an inbuilt function inside Gdevelop. Let me open this. You can double click on a statement to open it. So you can see that I have found this statement here. You can go to common actions for all objects. No, yeah, common actions for all objects, and in variables you can go modify a variable of an object. That's how you will get to this screen. Our object will be touch position. Variable which is inside touch position is touch ID, and we want to make it equal to last touch ID. Last touch ID is simply the touch ID of the latest touch which we have done on the screen. You can find it on go to 123 and go to multi-touch, and you can simply choose this uh, identifier of the last touch, and if you click on this you will get the same statement again, but you don't need it two times, so I will keep it once only. So that's the function of this statement. Now this statement is simply changing the z order, which means which sprite is below which sprite, right? For example, this blue background is below these red dots, right? That's what z order says. The higher the z order, the more above the sprite is present. If the z order is 10 of one sprite and the z order is 9 of other sprite, the other sprite will be below the first sprite, right? So that's how it is happening. Z order is changing. I have found the z order function here. You can go to common actions for all objects and go to z order. You will find the z order function. So that's how I found it. My object is touch position and I want to make its z order equal to value 10. So 10 is a high z order. Why did I do this? Why did I change the z order? That was because my touch position object was being summoned below the background. So let me show you the z order of background. This is my background. I will click on it and you can see its z order is 1, right? So my touch position objects were being summoned at a lower z order than this. So they were at 0 or -1 or -2 and I was not able to see them. So that's why I have explicitly made their z order 10, so that they are always above the background at least. So that's what this is doing. Now the second statement is simply changing the animation of my touch position. And let me open it. So where will you find this? First of all, you will find this in Sprite. Go to Sprite and go to animations and images, and you can find it in the first line. Change the animation, and when you click on it, you can have it. And now my object is test position. I want to make its animation equal to a global variable index. How to find this? You can go to 123 and go to variable and go to value of a global variable, and here you can choose your variable index, but I don't want to, so because I already have it. So what was the value of index which we set? It was 0. Let me show you. Go to your project manager and game settings and global variables. You can see that our initial value of index is 0. So animation number 0 will be played first when you do the first touch, right? And when you do the what will happen when you do the first touch? The or I mean touch position will be created, its touch ID will be changed, its z order will be changed, and its animation number will be changed. It will be set to 0 first in the first touch. And then what will happen? Change the global variable index to 1, and index we know that it is 0, but after doing these four statements, these four tasks, we are changing it to 1. I mean we are adding 1 in it. So what is this? Let me show you. Double click on this statement, and this is simply a statement to add 1 to a variable. Add anything to a variable actually. So how will you find this? You will find this here. Go to variables and go to global variables, and click here value of a global variable, and you can find this function. My variable is index, my multiplication sign is plus because I want to add something to it, and my value is 1. So I add 1 to index, right? And then this next statement is simply a statement which actually limits the value of my index variable to 4. My index variable will only go from 0 to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will not go above it. So this statement is simply limiting the value of my index variable to 4. So it has a mathematical operator mod. Let me show you. Double click on it, and where will you find this function? First of all, again in the same place, go to variable. We are simply changing the value of a variable, so we simply need a function which is able to do that, right? So just go to variable and go to global variable, and then go to value of a global variable, and you will find this function. This is the same function which we used in the previous statement, right? So our variable is index and multiplication sign is equal, and what value do we want to assign to it? We want to assign mod global variable index comma 5. So what is this? This is simply uh, index mod 5, which means that what will happen here, my variable my index variable will be divided by 5, and whatever the remainder will be there, that remainder will be returned. So suppose I will type here only. Suppose I divide 10 by 2, remainder will be 0, right? Remainder will be 0, right? But if I divide 9 by 2, then remainder will be something, it will be 1, because if I divide 9 by 2, I will it will be divided, I mean 8 times, it will be divided, I mean if I do 4 into 2, you will get 8, but still 1 is remaining. So that's what mod function does. So I am simply dividing my index variable with 5 and returning the remainder. So because in computer science we only work with integers mostly, so this will work with integers only. So uh, it will simply return me the same value. Actually, when my index is from going from 0 to 4, it will simply return me 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. When my index will become 5, this function will return me 0, right? And the value of index variable will become 0. If it goes more than 4, it will again go back to 0. So that's what it is doing basically. If you don't understand this, it's okay. You can simply understand that this statement is simply keeping our index variable limited to 4. Why 4? It goes from 0 to 4, so that means we have 5 uh, numbers here. And why 5? Because I have created 5 animations. If you create 10 animations, you will have to limit your index variable to 10, and you will have to change this 5 value here, right? If you make 15 animations, just change it to 15, right? So that's how it will work. But since I only have 5 animations, I will keep it to 5, right? So that's what this statement is doing. So yeah, these are all the 4 statements which I have added from the in the previous in the older tutorial. So if you want to know how all these are working, you can go and watch the previous tutorial on multitouch dragables. I will put the link in the description, right? So yeah, and this game will not work on PC if you don't have a touch screen. So if I run it from here, it we will not be able to see anything. I am clicking but nothing is happening. So it will not run in your PC. You just have to export it to Android and package it, and then put it in your phone and install it and then run it. So it's a long process, but That's how you have to do it. So yeah, that's all. I will put the files for this game, which is with different sprites, on GitHub, and you can download the files when you want, whenever you want, and use them in your own games. And you can use in whatever form you like commercial or non-commercial. There is no problem. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions or anything else you want to say, you can put it in the comments. Thank you for watching.